Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Green on the Greens. Myself and Cody William back once again to talk this week's Memorial Tournament at Muirfield Village and wrap up a little Charles Schwab Challenge. Is that how you pronounce it? Muirfield?
That's how I pronounce it. If we're doing it wrong, we're doing it wrong together.
All
So,
right. Works for me then. So quick recap of the Charles Schwab Challenge. Sam Burns comes back. So 2 weeks in a row, PGA Championship with Justin Thomas comes back from 7 strokes, 8 strokes back. Sam Burns now comes back in the Charles Schwab Challenge on Sunday, 7 strokes back. I don't know about you, Cody, but and I think we've even mentioned this on the show before, but like we need to start respecting Sam Burns as truly one of the top golfers in the world. People bring up when they talk about the top golfers, obviously the Jon Rahms, Justin Thomas, Cameron Smith's now entering this conversation a little bit. Obviously, Scotty Scheffler, the number 1 ranked golfer in the world. But Sam Burns, at 25 years old, has 4 wins on the PGA Tour. Like, it's time for us to start putting his name in that conversation.
absolutely. And like one thing that I think we mentioned the last time we talked about this is the fact that, he's a closer. He has that gene where, you put the pressure on him not yet in a major championship, but in these types of tournaments. And he's not going to back down from the pressure. He came out on Sunday and, granted the conditions were a little easier when he was playing, but at the same time, he went out and got it. Like he put himself in position to win and no one else capitalized on that. So,
And let's not forget, he beat literally the number 1 ranked golfer in the world in the playoff with a clutch putt after sitting in the clubhouse for, like 3 hours. So,
right.
the only next thing that he has to do now is win a major. He wins a major and he's like right there in the. He's 25 years old. Like he's not. He's very young.
Are you still feeling good about the international team for the President's Cup?
Yes. I can't go back on that take now, but yeah, Sam Burns is probably going to be on that team for the States now. So, but yes, international still winning that.
Okay.
They underestimate us. They underestimate us, and they're going to underestimate us this year, and we're coming out hot.
All right. Well, I can't wait for us to break that down.
So let's talk about, let's recap our picks just from last week, and then we'll dive right into the Memorial Tournament, which is really one of the best and probably most watched tournaments of all the non-majors for sure, at Jack's place. So let's recap last week's picks. Not a great week for you, Cody. You did hit, which was I don't know what the odds were. I didn't have the odds written down, but Will Zalatoris to miss the cut was your hit of the week. Must have been pretty good odds on that. Must have brought you at least to even because your other picks, unfortunately, did not hit. You had Brian Harman, top 20, he missed the cut. Tommy Fleetwood, top 10, he finished T35. Spieth and Riley were good picks, but they just finished just outside. You had top 5 Spieth, he finished T7. Davis Riley looked like he was going to win. He looked like a great pick, and then what did he do? Like double bogey, and then just completely collapsed. So he finished T4.
Yeah, Riley hurt because he missed a shorty. I think it was I want to say it was 12, maybe 13, but somewhere on the back 9, he missed a shorty, and you could tell it got in his head, and then he goes out on the next hole and blocks a drive out of bounds, and that took him out of the tournament, and that hurt. But, I mean, like you said, I broke even. I got plus 375 odds on Zalatoris. I was confident in it. I put a little more than a unit on it, so I broke even, thankfully, because of that. But, yeah, I felt like I was close with Spieth and Riley and left a little bit of meat on the bone, so that hurts.
You know what? Neither of us were on him, but what would have been the absolute bad beat of the century would be like a top 20 bet on Harold Varner, who was tied for the lead on the back 9 on Sunday. I think it was on the back 9. I think it was right at the start of the back 9. He was tied for the lead. I had a live bet on him actually on Sunday at 10-1. And then he goes on to shoot. I got it up in front of me now. He goes triple, double, triple, gets one back with a birdie, but then finishes the round with a double and a bogey. So he shot 8 over on Sunday, with most of those coming in the back 9, because he was 2 over at the or 2 under at the turn.
Oh yeah, and to make that bad beat even worse, that first triple, he had 120 something yards with a wedge from the fairway on for his second shot, and he still triple bogeyed
it. It pained me to watch Harold Varner on Sunday. That's talk about a guy who just collapsed. Like that's triple, double, triple.
Oh yeah. And I mean, it doesn't help that he has the reputation for like doing exactly that on
Right.
Sundays whenever he's in contention. So like, and I mean, hats off to him. Like I've seen a bunch of stories about how he still went out and signed autographs. Still talked to the media after the fact. And there's a lot of guys on tour who would not do that after that kind of
Yeah.
round. So I mean, hats off to him for being a good guy. But my God, that is painful.
Imagine having a top 20 ticket on him though, and he's winning in the back nine. You're like, all right, like you may as well spend the money. Like who's winning in the back nine and finishes outside the top 20? He does it, finishes T27, lost all
Oh,
bets. Brutal.
pain. So much
Brutal.
pain.
I'll recap my picks here really quick. I actually had a fantastic week outside of not hitting the top 5 or my win because I hit everything else. I had Answer to miss the cut plus 210 that cashed. Christian Bezadenut to finish top 20. He finished T15, so that cashed at plus 230. Kevin Nod to finish in the top 10 at plus 375, and he finished T7. So I hit all of those. Webb Simpson, Adam top 5, he finished T27. Victor Hovland to win. He finished T21. So both those lost, but I still finished well in the profit with my miscut top 20 and top 10 bets. And then our closest to the win, I have evened up the score. You had Doug Gim.
No, I switched to Mark Hubbard.
Oh, did you switch? Okay.
Yeah, because
where did
Doug
Mark
Gim,
Hubbard finish? You're right. I was looking off the original notes. Did you? Oh, you won.
Yeah, because Griot shot 8 over on Sunday.
I was celebrating. I thought I evened it up. Now I'm down 3-1.
No. Oh, yeah.
You're right. I remember you did switch it up last minute because Doug Gim was below 150. And I forgot that. I was going off the original notes, and Doug Gim had tied for the worst score of the entire tournament. So I was about to I was about to celebrate in your face and make fun of your Doug Gim pick because he finished 11 over after 2 rounds. Well, that turned against me. So now I'm down 3-1 and closest to the win.
And the thing is I was camping this weekend, so I didn't get to watch a lot of the weekend. And when I left to go camping, Hubbard had just made the cut and Griot was inside the top 30. I was like, oh man, I'm going to lose this. I checked on Saturday and it was still a comfortable lead. And then 8 over on Sunday for Griot.
I'm shook. So I guess I'm down 3-1 in the closest to the win competition. We'll get out our now I need to rebound big. That's what an absolute heartbreaker. We'll get out our picks for closest to the win for the Memorial right now. But for anyone who hasn't seen this before, we have a little competition between ourselves. Close to the win, we pick a golfer that's at least at 150 to 1 odds or longer. And as you might assume, whoever finishes up closest to the win or further up the leaderboard by the end of the round gets 1 point. So last week with you, I guess, picking Mark Hubbard, I'm going to have to go back and check the tape on that now. He finished T52. I had Emiliano Grillo. He finished T63. So point goes to you. You are now up 3-1 in the competition.
Yeah, that last minute switch saved me just a little bit.
Yeah, because Kim literally finished dead last.
Oh, yeah. It was bad.
Damn it. All right, let's start off with our closest to the win picks for the Memorial. Like I said, 150 to 1 odds or longer. Who do you got?
This week I've got Patrick Rogers. He's sitting at 175 to 1 right now on WinBet. He's actually looking in pretty good form right now. He has 5 straight made cuts and 4 straight top 35 finishes. He's gained on approach in 4 straight tournaments, not including the Zurich, and he's always been a really good player off the tee. He's kind of one of those guys who we've talked about, who gets talked about a lot as like unmet potential, and people are just waiting for him to do something big. And he never truly has to the level that people expected when he first came onto tour. But at a place where you need to hit ball strike well and you need to score on par 5s, he's 33rd on tour in par 5 scoring average, and so I really like for him to make the cut and actually finish pretty well this week.
All right, now I'm going to go with Ryan Palmer, 150 to 1, right on the line here. second place finish in 2020, so he's already played well at this course. 37th in strokes gained tee to green. His short game is a bit of an issue that does kind of concern me a little bit, especially this week. But I think in terms of 150 to 1 or longer, I think he's the best option. And I need a win this week after thinking I was tied at 2-2 just a few minutes ago. So Ryan Palmer is my pick for closest to the win.
Yeah, you need a win. Otherwise, I'm going up 4-1, and we might as well start picking out where I'm going to go play golf later this year.
I will say, when I was first looking at my picks, I was looking at the odds list, and I could only find there was only 10 guys at 150 to 1 or longer. I was like, what? This doesn't make any sense. What's going on here? So I had one guy picked out, and I was going to go with him. But then I figured out I was looking at first round leader odds. So that's why there was only 10 at 150 to 1. And then the guy I was going to pick actually has 750 to 1 odds to win. So if I went with him, I would have had no chance.
I've got to know who was it.
Camilo Villages?
Villages. He's South American, so you pronounce the L's differently.
Yes, he's from Colombia. He was going to be my pick. Shout out to him. He actually does. He's played at Muirfield Village 12 times in his career, and he made the cut 10 times. So.
Oh, okay. Hey, little 750 to 1 sprinkle.
I think I'd rather go with Ryan Palmer, to be honest.
Probably a good call.
All right, let's get into our picks. Miss the cut, top 20, top 10, top 5, and to win. Start us off. Who is going to miss the cut this week?
Yeah, so continuing the theme of twisting the knife in you after picking your best friend, Will Zalatoris, to miss the cut last week, I'm going with your Canadian brother, Corey Connors, to miss the cut this week.
Rude. How dare you?
So he does not have the best course history at Memorial. He's played 3 times. He was T22 in 2020, but he's been outside the top 50 in the other 2 trips and was T53 last year. We know that Connors, his method for success is with his ball striking, and the worry is normally with his, short game, specifically his putter. But over the last 12 rounds, he's actually been kind of concerning with his ball striking. He's only gaining 0.07 strokes on approach per round, which is very much not in the vein of how he hits the ball when he's playing well. Over the past couple tournaments, he's been a bit of a letdown, in my opinion, at least. And I don't like where his game is at heading into a place where he hasn't had much success. And with a loaded field, I think he has a good chance to miss the cut. I saw consensus odds around plus 225, and I like that number a lot.
Yeah, short game is a big concern here for sure, and I'm off the Corey Connors train. We've gone through this before in past episodes, so I'm not going to argue too much. But picking a Canadian does hurt my feelings a little bit.
It's okay. I'm going to fade every Canadian next week.
At the Canadian, that's next week, isn't it? That's right, because then the U.S. Open's the week after. We'll see how that goes. Has a Canadian ever won the Canadian Open? I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe.
Off the top of my head, I do not know.
All right, my pick to miss the cut, Cam Young. I actually don't have a ton of reasons. I actually struggled this week trying to find a guy who I'd like to miss the cut at half decent odds. Because, for these kinds of, for miss the cut bet, let's be honest. I could give out someone who's like 100 to 1 to win, like someone who's probably not going to make the cut anyways. But what's the fun in that? We like taking guys a little bit near the top of the odds board in this. But I'll be honest, I was looking at the top of the odds board for guys to miss the cut. There wasn't really anyone that stuck out to me. So I'm going to bank on a little PGA Championship hangover. We all know Cam Young was obviously in contention at the PGA Championship on Sunday. Didn't have a great Sunday round. We saw that affect Will Zalatoris last week. Hopefully, for the sake of my bet, that's going to affect Cam Young this week. His biggest strength is distance off the tee, but that does not help you at Muirfield. Muirfield's all about ball striking. It's all about accuracy. It's all about play around the green. So his distance, I don't think, is going to help him much this week. So I will take him to miss the cut.
No, I like that a lot. I've seen actually several people on Cam Young because he's been playing so well, but he's way more volatile on approach than I think people realize, and his finishes kind of mask that a little bit, but I really like that. I think that's a really savvy play.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, hit me up with your top 20 bet.
Top 20, I'm going to try and cash this for the third week in a row. I haven't given it out on the show, but I have bet it personally. Chris Kirk, top 20. He's at plus 225 on WinBet to finish in the top 20. He's done it the past 2 weeks. He was top 5 at the PGA and then top 15 last week at Colonial. That's obviously brought the number down from where it was, but I still like it a lot. His history at the Memorial has been sort of a mixed bag, but he was T26 here last year. And he did that despite losing 2.22 strokes off the tee and gaining only zero point zero 0.01 on approach. So basically, he was field average on approach, which finishing T26 with those metrics at this course is honestly really impressive, almost as impressive as like winning the tournament. But he's been playing so much better this year. I would venture to say he's been playing some of the best golf of his career so far this year. Over the last 20 rounds, he's fifth in this field strokes gained tee to green, and his short game has actually improved a little bit recently. And so, I think he's just feeling good right now. He's going to build off a good finish here last year and just keep ball striking the way he has this year and cash a top 20 for me.
Big reason why I like that pick, eighth in strokes gained around the green. I don't know about the research that you've done. It seems to me like chipping and around the green play is important, if not the most important thing at Muirfield Village. I don't know if you found the same thing.
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, the two big sticky stats that I found are, as it is a lot of times, strokes gained approach. One of the stats I found was that the top 5 players on the leaderboard last year were all over 4.8 strokes gained approach. So, that just shows the importance of approach. But I mean, that plays into the around the green play, because if you're gaining strokes on approach, that means you're not putting yourselves in bad position with where the rough around these greens is really, really penal. So I think around the green play is really important too.
And the other thing specifically about approach is that I saw this on Data Golf, is that the 25-yard distance that you can really key in on this week is from 175 to 200 yards. It seems like way higher average than normal of amount of approach shots that are within that 25-yard distance. So if you're going to key in kind of one area for your approach, 175 to 200.
I saw that as well. I mean, this is kind of a weird stat because guys drive at different distances, but over 50% of the approach shots are over 175.
Yeah.
On that Muirfield Village, excuse me. So, that's a really important metric to look at as well.
Yep, for sure. That actually plays into my top 20 pick, which is CT Pan at plus 350. It has been playing some solid golf here, 5 straight made cuts. He did finish T15 at the Wells Fargo, but obviously his biggest weakness is distance. He's not a guy that you want to target in courses where you need to be a little bit long off the tee. His last win was at the RBC Heritage, which is a similar course where distance doesn't really help you that much. Same for Muirfield Village. And like we were just talking about approach game from that 25-yard distance or 175 plus, that's where he excels with his approach play. He's 36th on tour in proximity to the hole from 175 to 200 yards out. And he's like his stats like all around solid. Like he's not terrible at anything so far this season. He's not going to pop off the page in any area, but he's just playing some solid all around golf. Like I said, 5 straight made cuts, a T15 a couple weeks ago. A little bit of a longer shot for top 20, but I don't hate it at plus 350.
No, plus 350 is a great number. And like you said, like he's one of these guys like, your Kevin Kisners who talk about, there are some courses where they go to and they don't have a shot in hell of, competing, but you put them on a place where distance isn't necessarily required and they're going to have a chance to do something like a top 20. So I really like that because Pan has been playing quietly pretty well this year.
Sorry, just had to let my cat in. She was scratching at the door. She likes to be as annoying as possible when I'm shooting something. All right, let's move on to top 10.
So for my top 10, I'm going back to the Davis Riley well. The dude is just playing too well for me to ignore, and he's at plus 400 for a top 10 on WinBet this week. And I don't understand why those odds are so long, if I'm being honest. He is cashed. If you bet him top 10 in the past 5 tournaments, you would have won 4 times because he's been in the top 13 in 5 straight tournaments and inside the top 10 in 4 of those. Over the last 20 rounds, he is 7th in this field in strokes gained tee to green. He's 4th in strokes gained approach, and he's 1st in strokes gained total over the last 20 rounds, which I don't think people would ever guess, even with the way he's been finishing, just because he's not a guy that people I guess, have on their radar as much as they probably should right now. He has an all-around game in his ball, but what's really caused his turnaround is his ball striking has just come into form, and he's found consistency with it. And if you're going to give me plus 400 on him to finish top 10 when he's done it 4 out of the last 5 tournaments, I'm going to take that and run with it.
Devil's advocate time.
Okay.
2 points. Number one, do you think that his kind of collapse last week is going to affect him psychologically at all?
I don't, because it didn't actually affect him beyond those 2 holes.
Right,
He
that's
actually
fair.
rebounded really well after that. Like, he bogeyed 17, I think, but that was the only other blemish on his card after the 2 blow up holes. So I don't think that's going to affect him too much psychologically, because I didn't see it that much on Sunday.
And then the other thing that sticks out to me, I just looking at his stats while you're talking about him, 119th in strokes gained around the green. So that his chipping, I feel like, might come back to bite him at Muirfield.
It's possible. I've said this before. I think that around the green can be tricky, because if you're dialed in on approach, you're not hitting shots around the green.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
that's fair.
And with the way his ball striking has been, like I said, 4th in the field on strokes gained approach over the last 20 rounds, like, he's dialed in with his approach game right now. So I don't foresee that being too much of an issue. And I'm not being as aggressive as I was last week with him. That's why I went with the top 10 bet, because, this is a stronger field than last week. And, there are some shortcomings in his game, and he's a young player, and there is, you have to learn to win. Winning's a skill. So, that's why I'm going with the top 10 pick.
All right. I like it. My top 10 is a guy who has had fantastic history at Muirfield Village. That's Matt Kuchar. Top 10 plus 600, 6-1 guy that I've picked at least once somewhat recently. I don't remember if he cashed for me. Something tells me he did not. But I'm hoping he does for me this week. History, big play, big reason why. In his career at Muirfield Villages, he has finishes of first. He won this event back in 2015. I think it was 2015. Some point in his career won. And he has finishes of second, fourth, fifth, 8th, 10th, 13th, 13th. So quick math, that's 7 top 10 finishes here in his career. And it makes sense, because, this is the style of course that fits his game to perfection. He's accurate off the tee. This is a guy who has a fantastic short game. He's actually first on the PGA Tour entering this week in strokes gained around the green, 13th in putting, 31st in driving accuracy. There was a reason why he's always had success here at Muirfield. So 6-1 for him to finish in the top 10. Got to take it.
No, I actually like that number a lot, because he's, like you said, you bet on him recently, and he's been playing really well this year, and I would venture to say more so than he has in the past couple years. And I looked away from Kuchar despite the course history, because he's missed 2 of his last 3 cuts here, and then was T32 in 2020. But I think he's playing better than he was in any of those years recently. So if you're going to get plus 600 on that, I like that as a little, sort of a long shot for a top 10.
Yeah, his last 6 starts, T16, T2, T3, T49, T12, T34. So made the cut in all 6. 3 of the 4, he finished 12th or better, and 2 of the 6, he finished top 3. So good form.
Absolutely, especially for an older guy. Yes. Kuchar's not a spring chicken anymore. So for him to be finishing like that is that's a good sign for where his game's at.
How old do you think Matt Kuchar is?
I think he's 41.
43.
Mistaken. Okay.
Shout out Matt Kuchar.
He's definitely not a spring chicken.
No. Still 7 years away from the Champions Tour, though. It's not quite there yet. All right, let's move on to top 5. Who do you got?
I have the squarest bet on the board, which we should just make a weekly segment, Cody's square bet of the week. We're going with Jon Rahm to finish in the top 5. It's crazy. So I understand that Jon Rahm has not been in great form. And earlier in the year when, he wasn't finishing like people expected him to, it was his short game that people were honing in on. But actually of late, his approach play has been even more concerning. He's losing strokes on approach over the last 20 rounds, which is very not Jon Rahm.
You're not convincing me to bet on him to finish top 5.
I'm getting there, Iain. Just give me a second. This is all coming with a huge but at the end. So he's losing strokes, but he has figured out the short game, and he's still gaining strokes on off the tee as he often does. Part of that is distance, but he's also an accurate driver of the golf ball for how long he hits it because he has that little cutoff swing that really allows him to control it and shape it the way he wants to. But it really comes down to his history at Memorial is just over the past 2 years is ridiculous. He won in 2020, and then he was going to win last year. I think it was a 6-stroke lead going in the final round when he
Yeah.
tested positive for COVID. And then Patrick Cantlay got the phantom win of the year in the playoff. But the crazy part is how dominant he was at this course over that span. He actually gained more strokes in the 3 rounds last year than he did in all 4 rounds combined in 2020. And over those 7 rounds, he's gained 38 strokes on the field at Muirfield Village, which is just absolutely insane. And the fact that he's worked out his short game of recently and has been gaining with the putter and around the green again, I think that he's going to come to a place where he has good feels and obviously has great history, and frankly has unfinished business after what happened last year, and find that approach game because that is, I mean, approach play is what has been John Rahm's MO for his career when his rise to the level of success he's at now. And so I think if you're getting plus 240 for him to top 5, I like that a lot more than his outright number. At what is it, 10-1?
Yeah, around 10. I think it's 10-1 at win. Yeah, I mean, if you want to bet on a course history guy, then John Rahm's definitely the play this week. He is a guy not just at Muirfield. He's a guy who it's like the same courses every single year that he does really well at. Like Torrey Pines is the other one. Like no matter what tournament it is, no matter what year it is, he's gonna like finish top 10 at Torrey Pines. You said his short game is getting better. Has he improved in strokes gained around the green? Because that's my biggest concern. Because his chipping has not been great this year.
If I'm not mistaken, over the 20 rounds sample size where I was looking at for his approach numbers, where he's losing like 0.3 per round, he's gaining about 0.2, 0.3 per round around the green. So he's cleaned up the areas, which I guess is what maybe has led to, the decline in approach play. But I think it's a guy finding his form leading into, the US Open and, more the rest of the majors this year. And when you come to a place like Muirfield Village where he has such good course history, I just really like that. And, I'm giving myself a little leeway by not betting on him to win and going with top 5.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. I would stay away from betting on him to win. I think top 5 would be the play if you want to go at Rahm.
I agree with that 100% because I mean I tend to shy away. 10-1. It's just it's not pretty. It's not a good number. I don't like it.
Not in today. I mean, we've talked about this in the past. Not in today's day and age in golf. There's just too many guys who can win. To take the odds on favorite is my top 5 bet is a guy that people have kind of forgot about. This guy. No one. He was like one of the more popular guys on tour there the past couple of years. This season, not many people are talking about him. I think it might be a sneaky time to bet on him, and that's Sungjae Im at 7-1. 4 straight in his last 4 straight starts on tour, he's finished 21st or better. Big reason why I like him this week is he is fantastic around the greens, 4th on tour in strokes gained around the greens, and he's a wizard at long approach shots. And we talked about how the long approach shots are huge at Muirfield. I don't have his exact number of what he is. I don't have it in my notes for some reason for the long approach shots, but top 5, 7-1. I will say I don't think his history is great at Muirfield, which is my biggest concern with him. But in terms of like when you look at the numbers and how they match up to how you're supposed to play this course, it seems like a good fit. And he's quietly been playing very good golf.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons he's been off the radar a little bit is like he didn't play the PGA because he was in Korea and tested positive for COVID.
Right.
And so he couldn't come back to the PGA. And so and he's had, I'm struggling to remember. I think it might have been an injury he had earlier in the year that caused him to miss like a couple of weeks and stuff like that. So he's just kind of been off the radar. But when he's played, he has been playing well. So I really
at the
like
Masters.
Yeah, so I think you're getting a really good number on him because he's kind of out of the consciousness for whatever reason, for a multitude of reasons.
Yes, and he was off a month, but then he played last week at the Charles Schwab and finished T15, so he didn't really miss a beat, even though he took some time off there. I'm just looking at some of his long approach numbers here. I think it's approaches from 20 yards or longer. He's 20th on tour, so and from 200 to 225, he's 9th. So he's good with the long approaches. So hopefully he plays well this week. So Sungjae Im top 5, 7-1. Let's move on to our pick to win the Memorial Tournament at Jack's Place. Hit me with it.
I'm going back to a well that has not cashed for me, but I can't quit it. I'm going with Shane Lowry at plus 2,500 to win at WinBet. I just keep looking at the stats, and I'm like, Shane Lowry's going to break through and win if he keeps playing the way he has this year. Over the last 40 rounds, he's fifth in this field in strokes gained approach, which I'm harping on because that's obviously very important. However, of the top 5 players in strokes gained approach, he's the best of that group in strokes gained off the tee and in putting. And he's also second to that group in around the green to only Cam Smith, who, is a wizard around the green. So, if you're going to be second to someone, might as well be Cam Smith. His game is in complete form right now, and he's been a letdown at a couple of spots where unfortunately when I bet on him, but it's never been, a blow up where, I bet him to top 10 and he misses the cut. It's, he finishes T23 or something like that. And he also had not had a great course history at Muirfield Village, but he finished T6 here last year. And so I think he's going to build upon that. And with his form this year, I think he's going to finally break through and win the way the stats say he should soon if he keeps playing this way.
I will admit something. I don't think I've ever bet on Shane Lowry. I think I'm biased against fat golfers. And I shouldn't be. I'm not exactly a skinny guy myself, but for some reason, I don't know what it is. It's just like I think that they're just going to be like tired by the time Sunday comes around or something. I mean, I'm saying this about a guy who's a major winner. Obviously won the Open Championship, but I've never bet on Shane Lowry, and I think it's just I'm like have a bias against fat professional golfers.
Well,
no comment.
If you have a bias, then you might want to stay away from their featured group this week with Lowry, Rob, and Bryson. That's like 750 pounds of man out there golfing in that group.
I mean, I do like the Lowry pick outside of the fact I'm biased against fat professional golfers, and his around the green numbers have not been great. But other than that, I mean, he's a great ball striker. He's a great putter.
Around the green, over the last 40 rounds, he's gaining strokes around the green. I think he had some struggles early in the year where sense. He wasn't. And so, but I think since like the turn of the calendar, he's actually really turned it on in like 2022. But like early in the year, he was off in the wilderness a little bit.
I will say that's something I need to start implementing in my handicapping is stats. I don't look at like last 20 rounds, last 30 rounds, last 4. I just look season long, which at this point of the season, we're deep enough in the season. Some guys have bad early season numbers and it's skewing them. All right. Shane Lowry to win. My pick to win, the guy who is the best ball striker on tour right now in terms of strokes gained, Cameron Smith, 22-1. Leads a PGA Tour in strokes gained approach this season. Led the field at the PGA Championship a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, you remember he's for some reason could not putt well, and I don't remember if it was you who told me this. Yeah. that he putts better on fast greens. Was that you?
Yeah, that was me. Yeah, he for whatever reason he likes it. He likes it when it's rolling fast. Whenever it's like shaggy and slow, he tends to struggle for whatever reason.
And Muirfield Village has fast greens. So even though he has not putt well recently, I'm hoping these fast greens gets his putting back in order because right now he's striking the ball and approaching these greens better than he has ever in his career. And his driving accuracy has gotten a little bit better in recent weeks as well. I have two concerns about him, though, I will say. Even though I'm on him to win, driving accuracy is one, but he has done better in that recently. And his course history is not good. I'm going to bring it up in front of me, but I think he even has a miscut here. But if you does he?
He has 3 miscuts in the last 4 years.
There you go. So course history is terrible. But with that being said, he is playing by far the best golf he's played in his career. Not even close. He statistically is one of the best golfers on tour. His short game is amazing around the green putting. His approach game, he literally leads the tour in strokes gained approach. So I'm hoping he turns it around. And before John Rahm's win at Muirfield, he missed the cut the year before at the same course. So it's been done before going from miscut to win. I just can't, because it's strokes gained around the green are important and approach play. like more important than most weeks, because every week approach is going to be important to some extent, but more than not, approach play is extremely important this week. So you want a guy who's a very good ball striker and very good around the greens. That's Cameron Smith. And I think a pretty decent price at 22-1. I'm guessing it's probably his course history, which is why his number is a little bit longer than what we would normally see from him, but I'm willing to take a shot just based on this year's numbers.
Yeah, Cam Smith was a guy who I looked at, and honestly, it wasn't even the course history. It was the driving accuracy that really scared me, because Muirfield Village has wide fairways. Like you can be a little, you don't have to be like pinpoint off the tee, but if you do miss the fairway, it doesn't matter what your approach numbers are. It's going to be really tough to score, because that rough is penal. It's tough to play out of. And so that worries me for Smith, because I just feel like I've seen him with his driver get into too many bad spots. And so that's why I stayed away from him. But I mean, your reasoning's hard to argue with, because if he can stay in the fairway, then he's going to be in contention with the way he's playing. Like, I have no doubt about that.
Yeah, so I'm willing to take a shot with him at his price. If it was just shorter odds, I'd probably stay away. But 22-1, you got to like that price on the best ball striker on tour right now. So there you have it. Those are our picks. Todd, do you want to just recap yours? I was trying to think if we have a recap graphic, but I don't think we do for this show. I'm getting the multiple different streams mixed up. Go ahead and list off your picks there if you have them in front of you. I'll list off mine, then we'll wrap things up.
Yeah, your Ghostbusters crossing the streams. Come on, Ian, get it together. So closest to the win, I have Patrick Rogers. I have Corey Connors to miss the cut, Chris Kirk to top 20, Davis Riley to top 10, John Rahm to top 5, and then Shane Lowry to win at Muirfield Village.
All right, and I have Cameron Young to miss the cut, CT Pan top 20 at plus 350, Matt Kuchar top 10 plus 600, Sungjae Im top 5 at 7-1, and Cam Smith to win at 22-1. And my closest to the win is Ryan Palmer.
Not Camilo Villegas.
No. Well, watch him come out and win it 750-1.
That would be hilarious.
All right, there's our show, my friends. Special time next week. We are doing it a little bit earlier in the day, and we're back to Monday, by the way. This is a little special Tuesday edition because of Memorial Day. Next week, it is back on Monday, but it's going to be at 2 p.m. Eastern. So keep an eye on that, and we'll be talking my national tournament, the Canadian Open. I don't even know. I don't even know where it's being played at, though, to be honest.
It's like St. George's, not Royal St. George's, but St. George's or something like that.
Because it is one of the tournaments that change around. St. George's Golf Course, interesting.
Yeah, and also I looked it up, and I forgot to interject. A Canadian has not won the Canadian Open since 1954. Who
was it?
Oh, God, I don't remember that.
Oh, what? Do you don't remember 1954?
Pat Fletcher. The great.
Shout out Pat Fletcher. So there you go. Next week I'll get to talk a little Canadian Open. That'll be fun. But until then, best of luck with your picks for this week's Memorial Tournament. Enjoy the event, and we'll talk to you next week.